Welcome to the first of 5 videos that form part of our Wedding Trend Report for 2015. My name is Kylie Carlson and I'm the director of a group of companies specialising in training and certification for the wedding and special events industry. As an international training company that encompasses the UK Academy, the Australian Academy and the New Zealand Academy of Wedding and Event Planning, as well as the Wedding and Event Institute, we are in the unique position to compile a report of this type using our own research combined with the knowledge of wedding experts from around the world. Throughout our campuses, we have an advisory board, which is made up of some of the industry's top wedding professionals, many of whom have contributed to our report, so it gives it a really global feel. So let's get to it. Wedding trends, like fashion, can really vary based on location. And as this is an international report, we will be talking about global trends as well as more locally based trends. Many wedding professionals feel couples should focus less on trends and more on what speaks to their own personality, cultural backgrounds, and more on what reflects who they are as a couple. Now, many would say that anything that is trending is not unique. Now, whilst I do agree with that, trends do make up a large part of what we do in the world of weddings. And because of this, we really can't ignore them. So where do we go to find out what is going to be trending in the year ahead? Well, it certainly isn't the bridal magazines, and it definitely isn't the wedding boards on Pinterest, because these things are already trending. So as such, they're yesterday's news. Instead, we turn to areas such as fashion, interior decor, architecture, film, and pop culture, as these are the areas that really lead the way in trend forecasting for our industry. So what are the overriding trends that we're going to see in weddings for 2015? Well, that's the million-dollar question, and one I'm going to hope I answer for you in our wedding industry report. So when you're planning a wedding for a client, it is important to stay in touch with the styles that your couple really love. You want them to be inspired, or you to be inspired, by your client's unique vision and ensure your ideas are born of the hopes and dreams of the bride and groom. When introduced to a couple who are unsure of what it is they are looking for, or who need a little inspiration to create their perfect wedding day, there is nothing better than to get lost in a sea of colour schemes and styles that are currently blowing up the wedding scene at the moment. Now, the 2014 wedding season was all about mason jars, eclectic vintage and shabby chic, looking to create a rustic feeling with a bit of a traditional twist. Weddings were stacked with hints of gold, peonies and blush undertones of burlap, lace and wildflowers in tiny little bunches. But what will 2015 bring? Well, we're confident in saying the 2015 to 16 trends and styles will move away from the rustic traditional and more into a more natural feel, a more organic and outdoorsy temperament, but with edgy pops of bright colour. Now this means less clutter, less DIY, less shabby but more actual chic, but a whole lot more simplistic and sophisticated. So our number one key trend for 2015 is the classic minimalist. We're going to be seeing wedding styles and fundamental details laid bare. Fuss and frills are taking a back seat and taking on an natural approach. It is about embodying a natural, personality-driven aesthetic and mood that is all about being who you are. Out goes the bling and in comes the sleek, tailored dresses with a simple, classic look. Everything about weddings by this style will be simple but stunning. Now, we do foresee more global love being introduced through patterns and textiles, with a more Moroccan, bohemian and boho feel. ICAT, Indonesian touches, are hot right now in the interior design industry, and I can definitely see some of the more edgy clients introducing this into their stationery, table covers, and possibly even backdrops. This year's bling is going to be all about sequins, and I mean it's going to be covering everything from shoes, dresses, tables, chairs, even cakes, and possibly multiple aspects of the decor. Think rose gold versus the harsh yellow in traditional gold, hints of brushed silver and flat blacks for a more natural and not so glossy or shiny feel. Flowers are even going to be heading down a new road with a less structured and more romantic overtones, over-the-top lushness, and possibly a more young, carefree, just picked from the garden feeling. And more brides are going to be looking to go down the aisle hands-free, with wearable flower crowns of statement pieces complementing their hair and makeup. Rising cake trends are among one of our favourites, as couples are beginning to not only get more creative with their cakes, but also a little bit more artistic with their requests. So sugar flowers versus real flowers, metallic accents, hand-painted extras, taking bold and bright all the way to monochromatic whites on white. We could go on for days about the rising trend in dessert bars, ranging from elaborate pie and camp-worthy treat bars all the way to granola bars, where guests are invited to combine their own trail mix, power snacks to keep them going during the wedding and possibly the after parties, which again are going to be huge. Other trends we are seeing include what we're calling the garden party. Associated with the evolving fondness for the natural highs of a glorious garden, expect to see much more of the countryside in the city in coming months. Natural surfaces and textures abound in interiors, so think pale grey marble, crystallised finishes, furs, timber, with bare wood dining tables possibly paired with bistro chairs. Earthy, elemental-inspired colour schemes are being predicted to dominate in 2015, with forest greens and petrol blues, caramel, ochre and violet at the bottom end of the spectrum, rising right through the ranks of lilac, salmon, pink, apricot, mint, sherbet yellow, and even ultraviolet. Another trend that's hot right now is watercolour and ombre, and the dye have been enjoying a revival over this past year. But according to the fashion diktats, this means bright splodges of colour, hand-painted monograms, and certainly making its way into stationery. Key to making this trend current rather than faddish, though, is focusing on tone. So think rosy lilac bleeding through to indigo, and contrast this new bohemian style with polished upscale finishes and settings. There's a strong spirit of individuality in the air in this new year, with couples keen on infusing their ceremonies and receptions with personality, their own. Couples want to communicate who they are. They, of course, want their wedding to be elegant and magical and still very fun for their guests, but they also want all of the details to reflect who they are as a couple, their tastes. The result is a wedding that feels very personal and unique. So we've told you about our pick for the key trends in weddings for 2015, but what's on its way out? What won't we be seeing so much of in this coming year? Well, number one, chevron. It's done its time to move over and let some of the other patterns shine. In particular, we're predicting polka dots are going to be really big in 2015. Number two, the photo booth, it's had an upgrade. The video slow-mo booth is the next big thing. Number three, mason jars are yesterday's news. You can all breathe a sigh of relief. We're onto vases and bottles instead. Number four, burlap with lace. Can't tell you how relieved I am that one's about to go. And finally, number five is the muted colour palettes are being replaced with bright pops of colour and lots of metallic. So that's it for our first wedding trend video. Next week, we're going to be talking colours and themes and giving you the lowdown on what's hot and what's not. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to talking with you all next week.